All right, perfect. So before we get started, I just want to increase the energy in the room just a little bit, all right? I have only 12 minutes, so let's do it very, very quickly. Can you just stand up for a second? Find someone you don't know and tell them what you are extremely happy about today. Can be a couple of things, anything. All right. All right, thank you guys. It's so funny, right? Even 25 seconds of gratitude can make a difference, right? As humans, we often go through life and we don't appreciate small things that we already have, right? So I always like to do this small exercise just to pump you up a little bit. All right, so today I'm gonna share with you a personal story. Now, it's a story of failure, a story of huge embarrassment, a story of shame, but also a story of a great learning experience. So, I'll never forget that many years ago when I was still a university student, I was in this organization called ISEC. And one day we were supposed to deliver a presentation in front of maybe 70, 80 people to entice them to join our organization. Now, on that day, I felt quite confident. But when I was waiting for my turn, I was just sitting there, I felt quite confident, and for some reason, 2-3 minutes before my turn, I started feeling something strange. My heart started racing, literally pounding like this. I was sweating, my mouth was dry, and my head was spinning, and I didn't know what was happening. And then I realized, oh my God, I'm actually panicking, I'm getting anxious. And what happens when you get anxious? Well, that negative internal dialogue kicks in and you start questioning yourself, right? All those self-doubts creep in, and I started saying to myself all the wrong things. Oh my God, what if they don't want to listen to me? Oh my God, what if I go out there and I'm gonna lose my composure? What if they're gonna laugh about me? So my brain was playing those tricks on me. And of course, what happened? I downward spiraled and I felt almost paralyzed, right? By the way, have you ever had a situation like this when you had to deliver some type of presentation, maybe a pitch, you tried to raise some money, or perhaps it was something very simple like, I don't know, you met someone and you wanted to talk to them for the first time. And for some reason you felt those weird sensations. How many of you have ever had a situation like this? All right, nice, look around. By the way, keep your hands up, look around. Eric, you never had a situation like this?
I make those situations.
I'm looking forward to your speech. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Alright, so as you can see, almost everyone experiences situations like this from time to time. And what do we do in those situations? What are the options? Well, you face a dilemma, right? Fight or flight. Now guess what I did? Come on, what did I do? What do you think?
Flight.
Why do I look so weak? Come on, guys. Actually, yes. I did run away from the stage. I was literally sitting there. It was audience very similar to this audience, similar size. And I remember I just said to one of my friends, listen man, I have a stomach problem, I have to go. And he couldn't even respond, I left the room, right? Everyone was shocked. They didn't have any idea what was going on. What the hell is wrong with Jimmy, right? So they continued, and I went to the toilet. That was my new comfort zone. Now, why are we so afraid of presenting? What makes it so difficult to speak in front of a big group of people? Because I can guarantee you that if I ask for a volunteer right now to come up to the stage and talk for a few minutes, most people wouldn't be so comfortable, right? Some of you would be like, yeah, I want to do it, I want to go, but most people would feel those butterflies. But if I told you to talk to each one of those people separately, you wouldn't have any problem, right? You would talk to every single person separately. Now, the reason is that when we present in front of many people, there's that fear of rejection. And it multiplies. If there are 50 people in the audience, it's 50x. 1,000 people, 1,000x. If there's a camera, Alex is filming there, well, maybe I'm gonna make a mistake or make a fool of myself or run away again, and he will publish it on YouTube and I'm screwed, right? So You have this internal dialogue that tells you that it's too dangerous. But we don't realize that it doesn't have to be like this. We don't need to feel that paralyzing fear. All right, so what happened? Back to the story. I'm in the toilet, standing there in my new comfort zone, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what should I do now? And by that time, within a few minutes, my heartbeat slowed down a little bit. I wasn't sweating so profusely. I regained my composure. I was back in my comfort zone. But then something weird happened, and I felt something much worse than that paralyzing fear that I experienced just 5-10 minutes before. And it was shame, it was embarrassment, right? It was that feeling of me being a failure. And I'll never forget when I was standing there and I was thinking to myself, I'm like a small baby. How can I call myself a real man if I can't even go and talk to people? So suddenly the pain of having that shame and that embarrassment, that regret, was much bigger than the potential pain of me going back there. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go and face my fear. So with those heavy legs, kind of dragged myself back to the room. And I never forget when I opened the doors, my heart was pounding. I felt like I'm gonna pass out from fear. But I opened the doors, I walked in, and then suddenly everyone is looking at me in silence. I had no idea what they were doing. They were doing some other presentations, and I just suddenly appeared out of nowhere, right? They're just looking at me. And I'm trying my best. I started presenting. And the funny thing is that with every single sentence, I felt more and more and more comfortable. And after 5 minutes, it was fine, no problem, I could present. Afterwards, many people told me that they actually enjoyed that presentation. Now the weird thing is that I thought that everybody could see how afraid I was. Just because I had all of those emotions inside, I felt that everybody can sense it. But it turned out that just because I feel certain feelings doesn't mean that other people can see them. So that was the first lesson I've learned, right? Very important lesson. Just because you're afraid, just because you feel certain emotions, you feel that anxiety, it doesn't mean that people can see it. And very often as presenters, and by the way, how many of you here will have to present at some point in the next 6 months? Whether it's a pitch, oh wow, okay, pretty much every single person here, right? So when you present, when you feel those sensations, right, when you feel that anxiety, instead of perceiving it as anxiety, turn it into excitement. Now why is that? Well, when you think about it, anxiety and excitement are very, very similar. I mean, physiologically, it's pretty much the same, right? You feel butterflies in your stomach, your heart is beating faster, your brain is spinning. But the difference is that when you are anxious, you expect a negative outcome, right? You expect that something worse will happen. Now, when you feel excited, you expect that everything will be fine, and that's the difference. Physiologically, there is no difference. So you have to reframe those situations you're in, and instead of fighting with those emotions you're experiencing, basically use them to your advantage, okay? And I'm sure you had situations before when you went on a stage, and 2 minutes before the presentation, you were really stressed out, and someone tells you, oh, come on, you just have to calm down, take a few deep breaths. But come on, does it really work? I mean, taking 2 deep breaths before your speech, it doesn't help. But what if you can turn that anxiety into excitement? Now, another thing I learned, which was really, really powerful, is that when you are afraid of something, when you look at that fear, and when you don't take any action, that fear keeps building up and building up and building up. And at one point, it becomes almost overwhelming, right? Something that seemed quite small at the beginning, after months or years of procrastination, it becomes insurmountable. You feel like you just can't do it. It's impossible. But I noticed that the moment you do something really small to face that fear, you suddenly realize that it wasn't as big as it seemed. So I wish I could tell you that after that story with Isaac presentation, I became very confident, but it wasn't like this. I had to push myself day after day. You know, I had other presentations when I felt like passing out on a stage, right? I literally felt the same feelings, but I understood that just because I feel like this, it doesn't mean that I need to retreat back to my comfort zone. I understood that I have to push myself bit by bit. And another thing I learned is vulnerability, right? Now, vulnerability is powerful. And actually, this is what I'm doing right now, right? I'm sharing with you a story that's a little bit uncomfortable to share. But the cool thing about vulnerability is that when you are willing to be vulnerable, when you're willing to share your weaknesses, your failures with your audience, then they accept you as a human being. They connect with you better, they trust you more, and also something really interesting happens. As humans, we have this pressure to be perfect, especially when we present on a stage, right? Before getting on a stage, you feel like, I need to be amazing, I need to be perfect. And that creates so much pressure that the anxiety becomes almost overwhelming. But when you accept the fact that people don't want perfection, people can't relate to perfection. Imagine that you give a perfect presentation, nobody will relate to you, nobody will listen to you. When you understand that, then suddenly you realize that people are not actually judging you, right? When you're presenting, nobody's judging you. People want the best. People want you to do well because that's how they get value from you, right? I mean, for example, right now, you're probably not judging me. I could very easily think that you are judging me right now, but most probably you are thinking, how can I use this guy's advice to benefit my life? And if you remember about it when you give your presentations, it's going to give you so much power. So next time when you have to present in front of some type of audience, when you feel that fear, don't let it stop you, all right? Push yourself, go out there, and bend reality one speech at a time. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.